So this is day 3. Still trying to get the heater core out, and yeah, hopefully it's only going to be like 1 or maybe 2 additional more days. Dogs. I'm probably not going to record a lot of what's going on today, just because it's going to be more of the same. If and when I get that big piece out that has the heater core and the blower motor and all that stuff in there, then I'll obviously turn the camera back on for that. But might just be a bit of a skip for the next video clip you guys see. So I just removed this from the engine bay just so I could get to some bolts a little bit better to completely get the heater core out. I think it just is what delivers hot air from the engine into the compartment, just kind of helps funnel things in. But man, this thing is gross. Like, I don't know what's going on there, and the inside is full of a bunch of crud too. So I mean, I guess it's time to see what's. Oh man. How did this get filled with dirt? Like just straight up dirt. Jesus, was any air coming out at all? Like legitimately, how does this happen? It's like soil. Is that like something's nest? Bruh. Like, that's not a small amount of dirt. This thing was in the engine bay, dude. Like, connected to the inside of the Jeep. Like, I don't know. How does that happen? Alright, we're all washed up now. The water that came out of this looked exactly like you'd probably expect it to. Alright, so now we're actually ready to get this bad boy out of here. That took forever. We've got our fuses taped out of the way. I think everything's disconnected. Pretty sure. There was like 2 last bolts we had to disconnect. So yeah, I'm gonna just give this a shot. Hopefully the next scene is me with this on the ground out, and it only takes me like 5 minutes to do. So yeah, no, not 5 minutes and then a shot of everything on the ground. It's been, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. I did in fact have to take out the center console. This thing just wasn't able to come out. There wasn't enough space for it to get pulled out a second ago. And then I ended up having to take out the heater, like the heater and AC little controller, because this cable was attached to that, and that's something that's attached to this whole assembly. So it was just, just the last few odds and ends to button up. And so now I think it is ready to go and be, sorry, there's like mosquitoes biting me as I'm recording this. Now I think it's ready to be pulled, so let's try that now. Alright, so that's out. Probably one of the most annoying things I've ever done to a vehicle. But, got that out. Can't really complain too much because now it's out. Forgot the fact that our heater core is still attached. There's a little bit of coolant came out, but just goes to show you just how nasty all that stuff is. Honestly, I'm probably gonna stop here for the day. Like, I really just wanted to get this out. It's just kind of a trip to like look in there and just see the inside of the Jeep, or I guess it kind of still looks like the outside of the leaves and stuff in there. But yeah, that's so glad that's done. No idea how glad I am that that's done. And the inside of this Jeep just looks like, I don't know, like a building from the Fallout universe or something like that. Just totally post-apocalyptic rundown. So as everything is, open and accessible, I'm gonna just clean the hell out of everything. It's pretty bad. Like, I almost want to call this the world's dirtiest Jeep because it is crusty. Can't wait to see what this looks like when it's all done. But the center console that we've got removed, I'll probably paint that. Oh my god, sorry, the shaking. I'll probably paint that tomorrow. Everything else, I can just start putting it all back together once I get those new parts in. Alright, so I'm gonna see how far I can get with this today, but got the assembly out, got an air compressor, gonna try to just clean off some of the crap that's on there with the air compressor and just see how much we can get it opened up today. In a perfect world, we'll be able to get the old heater core and the old blower motor out, and then do the install and just put everything back together all in one day on another point in time, but we'll see. So I'm getting pretty annoyed with this bolt right here. I think it's the last one I have to take off before I can take a razor blade behind these and get those out. But like, it's an 8 mil, but nothing will fit there because it's like the diameter is too thick. And yes, I know that this is a impact. I've tried non-impacts and they also are still too thick to fit in there. It's like there's almost no clearance between the wall and the bolt itself. So like, any wall thickness of any of the bolts I've tried, even the wrenches, it's like they can't get in there. So like, like it's bad. Which is, it's funny because it's like it's right there, you know. It's like I can touch it, like I can see. There's nothing obstructing my view. It's right there, but I can't get it out. So in my desperate frustration, I'm just taking pliers and just twisting it out. That's actually kind of working. Curious to see what the rest of the coolant in here look like. More of the same. So I am just doing a complete replacement of everything while I'm in here. So I've got a new blower motor, obviously have a new heater core, and then when I ordered the blower motor, it said that this thing needed to be replaced too, as well as the wiring for it. At least that was recommended, and I'm glad that I saw that because I had no idea where this was. I don't really even know what this does, to be completely honest with you. I think it's like the solenoid for the blower motor. Don't quote me on that. But gonna try to just blow all this crap out of here because it's still pretty gross. I can't flip it up because we've got, I think, I don't know, like vacuum lines or just tubes or something over there that's attached to the bottom shell. I don't really know how to disconnect them. It's probably more effort than it's worth. So I'm going to try to just take the air compressor and just blow over and get some of this crap out of there. So that was done. I really wasn't thinking with my needle there. I don't know why I didn't use a vacuum instead of blowing all the crap out of there. Now I'm going to use a vacuum. So am I going to replace this, which, you know, probably a good thing I am. This thing looks a little corroded, a little bit icky. And this one, nice, shiny, chrome, futuristic. But in my going to replace that, I was like, you know what, let me take a look at the blower motor. So this is the new one, right? Alright, that's the new one. That's the old one. You see what I'm seeing? And this is for the same Jeep, but these are like male plugs, and then these look like kind of female connections. So I don't even know if it's an issue of like the plug not reaching. I think it would just be the whole fixture wouldn't be compatible. I'm gonna look at that real quick and figure that out, because if so, I need to send this back, which is kind of annoying, but is what it is, and then wait for one of these that has one of these to show up so I can do this whole job properly. So that connection for the blower motor ended up just being something that's unique to the very early 97 TJs. Did some digging on a couple forums. Apparently on the early 97s, which I think mine was made in July of 97, at least according to some of the stamps on the plastic, they just had some slightly one-off parts for some things, the blower motor being one of those examples. So you could see that, you know, ours had a pigtail, whereas other ones and all of the other TJs, they don't. There's a few other parts that seem to be like that in the early model TJs, and so that's what's going on there. And since it's just like a one-off thing, essentially, with like just a handful of the very early first-year TJs, you know, stores don't sell the parts to fit those. So Rock Auto doesn't have a version for that early model. You can't find another version on Amazon. You can't find another version at AutoZone. So like, it's just, you either have to get creative and solve the problem on your own, or you just deal with the old stuff. And so I try to just get creative. I thought I had a video talking about what was going on there, but I guess I didn't. I just jumped right into the next steps. So yeah, that's what's going on. So today we're checking out a junkyard to try to see if we can find that connection for the new blower motor. Fingers crossed. So I'm hoping that this is the last day that I'm working on the heater core stuff. I wasn't able to find the connection for the blower motor at the junkyard. I ended up just making my own little adapter. So hopefully, you know, that works out well. I'll show you guys what that is in a second here. But yeah, I've got about 7 hours today to get this done. Rain's gonna start picking up this week, so I've got to kind of get it done today. Plan is to just get it back in the Jeep today. Shouldn't be too hard, but you know, we'll see. All right, so for the blower motor, like I was talking about, the new one didn't really have the right connections to go towards the old one. The old one was more of a male style. I'm actually gonna look for it now on here. The old one was more of like a male style that went to it. I think this was it. So this was the connection for the old unit. So you can see it's just a male connection. And over here, we also have a male connection. So with the old blower motor that was on here, there was like a little wire pigtail thing that came out, and then it had a female connection on it. There wasn't really a way to put in the new one with the old system without having to do some modification or having to like go and find an old wiring harness for one of the TJs that had the newer configuration, because apparently, you know, I learned after looking on the forums, the early 97s, which is the first year of the TJs, they just had some different parts in them. So this is one of those different parts. You can't find them anywhere because they're kind of a niche thing.
And the only way that I was going to be able to make it work would be to go and find another TJ in a junkyard that had the standard connection, this thing, and then cut off that part of the wiring harness and splice it to mine, which, like I've complained to you guys about before, I don't really like the idea of cutting into factory wiring. I think it's a terrible idea usually. So if I was able to avoid that, I'd be pretty stoked. They apparently used to make adapters for this. No longer are those able to be sold, or if you can't buy them anymore. They don't make any of the blower motors that are specifically for this setup, so I just had to get a little creative and make my own adapter. So what I ended up doing is I just got some wire, same gauge as what's over there as what was on the old blower motor, and ended up just taking one of those tap fittings, like the little thing that you usually use for wire taps. I found the section that fit onto one of these terminals nicely, which was the blue one, at least in the set that I had. And then I just, crimped it, put some heat shrink over it to make sure it didn't go anywhere. And then I took some, God, I'm drawing a blank on names of these things right now. Probably throw them up on the screen. But I took another, I think, terminal pin connector, and I, once again, crimped it, but then I soldered these guys, and then I put 2 layers of heat shrink over them. So, admittedly, the 2 layers of heat shrink was unintentional at first. I just cut the section that I thought I needed to just cover the metal bits so nothing would be... Dude. Buzz! Bro! It's not even raining and you're covered in mud. Don't touch me. Yeah, this is what I'm dealing with. I like to let them out when I'm doing this kind of work because they like being in the front yard, but then I get to do it. Buzz! Dude! Stop! Stop! He's a puppy. She's older sister. He beats her up, does dumb stuff. She's just a little teddy bear. Alright, anyway. The distractions I keep dealing with when I keep pausing the video. But anyway, initially this started off as a piece of heat shrink that only went to the terminal. I heated it, as the name says, it shrinks, so it was no longer fitting, so I put another thing over it so it would completely cover the ends. And the reason for that was just in case this does come loose from the little connection down here. I'm not going to have, just an exposed wire that has power hitting another potentially exposed wire and shorting the system. So that's why I did that. So to be fair, the double insulation was kind of accidental, but it sort of works out. I did want to make sure this was covered though, in its entirety. Make sure there was no bit of metal exposed there. So now that I have that issue resolved, I can put the blower motor in, which to be fair, I could have done the blower motor after everything was back together, but it's so much easier to just do it now while the thing's out. So I just wanted to do it all now, do it all right, which is why it took me a couple days, probably a week or so, to get everything in order. So this has gone on entirely longer than I would like for it to. My room looks like a warehouse. I feel like I'm in a hoarder's house because of that. Just because of all the boxes of stuff that I have in there. I should have probably done this job last, but it is what it is. I'm going to get this done, hopefully get all the other stuff in the Jeep too within the next 2 weeks or so. Like I said, there's going to be some rain, so I'm not going to be able to do too much work on it in the upcoming days, but that's the plan for today. I'll put the links to the forums that I got information about the blower motor weirdness in the description as well, if you guys have the same issues and you wanted to read through that, as well as the forum post that I made showing what I did. Also, the only extra thing I had to do with this heater core was just put this little bit of foam back here. The foam was in all of the other spots that the factory one had without me having to do anything, which was really nice. So we've got all of our bolts back in. There's only 2 exceptions to that. One of them, which is over here, that's the bolt that I can't actually get a socket down into. I tried to put it back just to see if it would fit. I'd already kind of planned on not putting this one back, but just figured I'd try. And I can only get it about like halfway in. I figure over time it's going to come out, probably just start rattling around and just cause all kinds of problems. Sorry. It's going to cause all kinds of problems. So I left that one out. And then the only other bolt that's not in is this one right here, which pretty sure that's where the last one's supposed to go. I can see the witness marks. They're like perfectly sized for the heads of the bolts that we're putting in. The only reason this one didn't go back in is, as you can see, there's a little piece of metal behind it. So this heater core is pretty much identical to the last one. The only real slight difference is with this little piece right here. That's in a slightly different spot on the one that we have. So I'm assuming that bolt's supposed to go through this hole, but since this is in a slightly different spot, we just see the metal. So I mean, there's not much I can do about it. As you can see, it's like brazed on there. So I can't really move that. So it's just going to be what it is. But besides that, you know, we've got all of our bolts besides those 2 in our heater core assembly bag, heater core plastic assembly bag, accounted for. So it's literally just these 2 bolts that are left, which we know where those are. We know that they're not going to be able to go in. So I think that's done. So something else that I thought was interesting is these little things here. So this one doesn't actually have a place to go. I'm hoping and I'm assuming that the reason for that is this model isn't equipped with like an air conditioning section to it. So I'm assuming and hoping that this is probably just the standard thing they put in all of the Jeeps, whether or not they had air conditioning, and this is where that was supposed to have linked to. Because there's literally nowhere that I could see that that's supposed to go. This one of them wasn't connected, and I connected it as I took this out, but this is the only one that's no longer connected. I mean, it never was connected when I pulled it out. I have no idea where it would go. It's the red line too, in case anyone knows that means anything, that goes to the HVAC controls in the Jeep. But yeah, that's all that there is that's not connected as far as I've seen. Like, I've tried to make sure all the wires are doing their thing, kind of going to where they're supposed to, just routed in the path that they're supposed to take. Need to get some fabric glue and just put the foams back on, just reattach things. And then I'm going to clean out the inside of the Jeep after I pull down the dash again. But everything is where it's supposed to be, you know, as much as it can be. And these little push connector things are a little damaged in the removal. And I think that they're kind of like an integrated thing. They're not like a standard size. Don't know if I can replace those because it's like a little rung of 2 of them, you know? It's like I think they're all built in together. So that's fine. I can just chill there. Worst case scenario, I can still actually access this part from the Jeep, like that right there. The fuse panel underneath the glove box. So roll the glove box out. You still have access to those, so I can technically mess around with that later. So let's go ahead and drop the dash again and then get to cleaning. Pro tip, in your endeavors to get off your dash, just make sure you keep in mind that you got to make sure you don't hit your door jamb switches. I busted mine off. Luckily, I found one in AutoZone. I think that there's one in stock near me, but Should probably replace both of them because that one's a little bit crusty looking. But you know, this is the one that's like busted off completely. So all I can do is one. Yeah, it is what it is. So I think I have the interior up here realistically about as clean as I'm gonna get it. Unless I want to wipe every surface down with a wet microfiber, which there's a little too many crevices and too much detail in here to realistically do that. I think it's good. I haven't cleaned back here just because there's nothing going back there yet. I'm going to rip out all the carpet probably sooner rather than later anyway. But yeah, now that this is all clean, we're just going to try to get that that assembly back in here. Hopefully we got enough space to get in there without banging all the new stuff. Actually, I should probably tape this back up here, huh? Yeah, I'll probably do that. But yeah, so hopefully we can get it back in there without too much trouble. But we'll see. So I still don't entirely understand the story of this green wire that just kind of goes back here. That's what they had connecting to the speakers. The only thing I do know about it based off of what it's connected to is labeled as, we have 12 volt plus, and then we have memory 12 volt plus. So I'm assuming that this is just the 12 volt power wire. So because of that, I went and made this little heat shrink thing, 12 volt power. I'm going to cut off the connection for that since we're not going to be using any of that anymore. And I'm going to put this on the wire just simply to label it. So I know what this green wire going to nothing is going to be for in case I do need to use it eventually. And then I'm just going to put some electrical tape over the severed connection. Just, you know, worst case scenario, I can just remove the electrical tape and use that to connect it somewhere. Best case scenario, or I guess, you know, most realistic scenario, I'll just have it back there. It's an unlabeled, or it's an unused wire, but at least it's labeled so I know what it is. So it won't be a mystery. All right, so did that to that little green wire we had there, and I figured while I was back here, might as well do it to the miscellaneous ground that was put back here. It's nice and legible. There we go. Yeah, so just nice little treatment there. Since I'm back here, I'm going to actually open up the hood and remove that oil pressure tube thing. I just do not like this thing. I think it's gross. I don't think there's a point to it since there's already an oil pressure gauge on the instrument cluster. And I'm probably going to try to get these lights off too. I'm going to have to remove this thing when I paint it. But now that the box isn't there, I got a bunch of space. So let's just do that right now. Well, before we get everything back together. To be fully transparent, I don't exactly know what kind of a fitting that is or how I'm going to plug it up or how it's connected. But this is the oil thing, just, you know, what it used to plug into. So I may be doing this a tad bit prematurely, but I just want it gone, and this is kind of the time to get it gone. So just gonna cut along the zip ties. Heater core is successfully back in place thanks to help from Mom. And now I can go ahead and put our dirt accumulator back. I still need to tighten the bolts surrounding the heater core, but that shouldn't be too bad. I don't know whether I have to put the first one of those bolts down before I put this on, because I think there's 2 bolts that go in that spot at the bottom. Or I guess 2 nuts that go in that spot at the bottom. I could see it even. Just take my word for it. But that's where this thing goes, I'm pretty sure. So I don't know whether the first one has to be on or whether both of them go on over the top of this, but we'll figure it out.